Hello, welcome to Krafting Kitty. My name is Erin, and it's Saturday, so it's time for another weekly roundup. Yay! So, what is a weekly roundup? A weekly roundup is where I go through my week in crafting. We check any WIPs, works in progress. Of course, there's works in progress. And FOs, finished objects, I have for the week. And that reminds me, I wanted to go through something here today. I'll just grab those. Finished objects. We also talk about the book I'm reading to try to keep me more accountable for staying up with my reading. And I'm also adding a new segment today. I don't know if we'll do this every week, but I thought it might be fun. So let's hop right in and look at my finished objects. So I grabbed my stack of washcloths because I have finished my last of the Americana yarn for the Tunisian washcloths I've been making. These will all be donated to the American Starfish Association, and so I will send these off pretty soon. I thought this looked kind of cool. I'm not sure if this yarn is supposed to have a planned pooling, but at some point, so I started down here, and then up here it like switched to some sort of like almost plaid pattern, and then it lost it up here again. So I'm not quite sure, but I think it looks kind of cool. This one, I went back to the kind of initial ones I was making, the Tunisian simple stitch washcloths, to see if I had improved. And I believe I have improved. I think the stitches are looking much nicer. By comparison, this is, okay, this is the very first one I made, but this was not a Tunisian simple stitch. This was my very first Tunisian simple stitch one. So you can see this one, this is using a larger hook. So this has a smaller hook. This one I was using a 5.5. Here I was using a 5. So I think part of it is finding a better hook size for this specific yarn and just practicing. I mean, the stitches look neater, everything looks better. So I do believe I am improving. So let's go through my computer, brand new computer. Worried about battery failure? No, should I be? You're new. So I believe I should have 7 washcloths here. So here's my very first one. This was a crossover stitch washcloth. I thought that was cute. And then this one, the second one, I tried it again to see if I could do better. And then I made this one, which is a Tunisian, I'm showing you the back, a Tunisian simple stitch that had a little dangle on it. I believe this was Jada in Stitches. That was cute. And then here's my first of the Tunisian simple stitches, and then I made another Tunisian simple stitch because I didn't realize when I had put all of these on my watch later playlist what I had done. This, I should have 2 of these bubble up washcloths. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I've got the right number, but I thought I made this washcloth twice. Oh well. Maybe no! This, okay, this is my very first washcloth. This is like some sort of weird double crossover stitch. And then these 2 are the bubble up that I just made from Mikey at the Crochet Crowd, and then this is my most recent. There we go. So all 7 identified. I'll pack them up, send them out, and then I'm going to start more yarn. Like you saw, I have some new cotton yarn from Miss Seta. Thank you again, Miss Seta. And I'll work that up and add that to the donation. And I've got some weird random balls of cotton I've collected over the years. So those will all be practice washcloths, and we'll see how my Tunisian journey goes on. So the next thing you saw, my Mary Maxim rag review. I made this kind of simple child's, like, this is kind of like a larger child to maybe tween hat size. It's a little big on the kids, but it's a little too tight for my head. So, you know, somewhere in between there, just double crochets to show how that yarn worked out. This is so soft and warm. The kiddos are trying to claim it, but I think I'm going to put this in the donation box because it just doesn't quite fit them. And if it can be useful for somebody else this coming winter, I would much rather have it go there than have to store it in a box somewhere. Okay, so then biggest news is I finished my bristlecone hat. Look at how cute that is. So this is a knit hat. This was from Fancy Tiger Crafts. I have not tied in this end because I am going to add a pom-pom. I just need to get the pom-pom. So there you go. This was made using a Wonderland Yarns Silk Twist in the colorway Glowworm. And this was one of my 23 hats challenge for my local yarn shop. So I will take this down to the local yarn shop and get it on my list, which is always exciting. I love going down there and sharing it. And I'm very excited to have finally finished one of the knit hats. So yay me! Okay, the final thing I have completed today is, or I guess this last week, is I did finish the little blanket Chomps wanted for his stuffies. So he has a particular stuffy that's been his cherished stuffy. It's called Scale Dino Spot. And so Scale Dino Spot needed a blankie of his own, and Chomps picked out this yarn. It's Karen Simply Soft in Kelly Green and Purple. And I just messed around and tried to make a blanket, and I just worked until I literally ran out of yarn. You can see here at the end, I didn't have enough to finish my second round of purple granny stitch, so I just did single crochets around the edge for the last one, and I literally ran out of purple and said, well, I guess I'll grab the last of the green, and then finished that single crochet round with the last of the green. And I think it looks just fine. He doesn't mind. I learned a lot. I think at some point here I added too many stitches when I was rounding the corners, and that made it buckle. And then I tried to correct it, and that made it kind of pull in. Like I said, it's for some stuffies, and Chomps doesn't care. So I'm not too worried about that. It was a learning experience, and I'll know not to do that in the future if I'm working on designing my own blanket. But I think this was a fun, quick make. It was just, I made a granny square to start, and then I did a couple of rows of single crochet, granny stitch, half double, granny stitch. Deep breath and speak more clearly and slowly. Then I did double crochets, and then I was going to end it with 2 rows of granny stitch and then hopefully a round of singles. I ran out of the purple, obviously, so the purple ended with just 1 row of granny stitch, and then I went straight to the singles. And there we go. Un blankie. And that is the end of my finished objects for this week. But I have one that all I have to do is bind it off and sew it together. So it is so close to being done. And I almost just sat here last night and finished it, but I decided not to. I figured just move on. Okay, so moving on to the whips. We'll get to that whip I was just talking about. So with the Mary Maxim Prism, I said I was going to work on a knit project. So I just wanted to show that I am working on a knit project. I'm just, again, whipping this up off of out of my head. I thought maybe I would try to do a cabled, maybe ear warmer or a little cable cowl. I don't know what it's going to end up being, but I think it's going to be an ear warmer. Here we go. I've only done one of the cable, so you can't, it's not showing up, and plus the yarn is dark, but it will get more pronounced as I work through it. So this one I am using that same Hero US 6 needles I was using on the tutorial. I don't think it's going to focus on that. Oh, maybe it did. And yeah, we're just working it through. I will share this when we're done. I did read Linda Litnitz's said she's used this yarn and had a problem using duller pointed needles and suggested I try to use sharper needles, which is a good suggestion. My sharper 6s are all in use, so I'm gonna struggle with these for a while until I can free up another pair of 6 needles. 6s and 8s are in heavy rotation for me, and I don't want to keep buying more needles. You know what I mean? So there we go. My next project, we'll go to the one that is so close to being done. The rag yarn that I did the review on this week, I'm working on a similar kind of knit pattern that Chomps tried on, and he wants it as a cowl, but it also works for him as an ear warmer. So here we go. I just did a garter stitch border and some stockinette in the middle, garter stitch border, and I worked that until basically it was the right length for his head, and it's folding in on itself because of the stockinette. When I sew it together, it will be better. But frankly, if he wears it as a cowl, it might not be bad if it folds in like that a little bit, keep him a little more snug and warm. But yeah, all I have to do is bind off and sew the ends together, and we will have an object that is finished. So close, yet so far away. We're going to just keep on the knitting train here, and I will show you the next knit hat I have begun. So when we were at the LYS, Bingo found some Malabrigo Rasta yarn that she loved. It hurts my wrists to knit with a super bulky 6. So we'll see. It is fun. It's beautiful. This colorway is Arco Iris. And it's only like 90 yards. So I was like, oh, I'll just hand wind it. Should have put it on the Swift and Winder. Took me like 45 minutes to do this, but here it is all balled up out of the hank. I mean, look at how gorgeous that is. It's beautiful. And here is the hat so far. I was stuck between 2 hats, and then I realized this hat was originally designed with the Rasta yarn. So I said, okay, decision made. This is called the Green Giant hat, and I got it off of Ravelry. It was a free pattern by Julie Visati Kovacs. It comes in adult, medium, and large. I am making the large because I started to cast on for the medium and then realized I had a whole lot left in my tail, so I just cast on the extras to make the large. But there's the hat, and it says it should take 1 skein of the Rasta. Either side size should take 1 skein of the Rasta. So we will be just fine. It's a bottom up hat. With knitting, I kind of prefer the bottom up hats. For crocheting, I prefer the top down hats. Just a little quirk. I don't know. Does anybody else who is ambistitual, bistitual, whatever you want to call it, do you have a similar preference, or do you not care? Do you just willy-nilly make your hats? I mean, I will make any hat. So that's that. Oh, this one, I'm just using some boy needles I had found on clearance at Walmart for $3. US 13 9mm. This is a 29-inch circular, which is too big for this hat. So I'm having to do kind of a faux magic loop situation. It's working okay for this hat. I really don't like using magic loop, but I don't use the super thick yarns for knitting because they do hurt my wrists. I have carpal tunnel in my wrist, and just kind of manipulating the thick yarn really bothers them. So I can only do a couple stitches on that a day, and we'll get through it. It is working up very quickly. It's a huge thick yarn. It's gonna go fast, but just don't expect leaps and bounds, because I can't. That's not one that I can sit there and just force myself to do. Gotta think of the wrists and the hands and all the other projects on my want to make list. Final project I'm going to share today. I did not get to work on the green baby blanket this week. I was on the struggle bus hard with the Things We're Making Thursday project, and I had to rip it out. And I'm using that ice cream divagations, which it can be a pain to rip out, but I find it's pretty okay as long as you take it slowly and pay attention as you're frogging. But yeah, I had to rip that out multiple times and rework the same 2 rows over and over and over again until I finally figured out what I was doing wrong. So the green blanket got lost, but I believe on track and figured out what I'm doing with the Things We're Making Thursday project, which is awesome. Okay, but this is not the Things We're Making Thursday project. It is August, and therefore it is a new Krafting Kitty Creator Spotlight. And it is Darla from Crafty Yarn Owl with Darla. I am so excited. She is so sweet. She is just the sweetest. And, oh, I forgot to put this back in my bag. Gotta put this back in my bag. So I always make a project from the creator, and she just came out with that Jacob's Ladder shawl. And I thought, I've never done a Jacob's Ladder. This is my chance. So I went stash diving, and I found I had 2 of these Caron Big Cakes. And I don't know if I'm going to need the full 2. I'm not quite sure, but I wanted to make sure I had enough to make a sizable shawl situation. And I thought this was kind of a fun color for the Jacob's Ladder. I've had this, it's called Cake Pop. I've had this sitting on my shelf and I've been wanting to make something with it, and I'm so glad the inspiration has struck. So, I am using my Yarnus crochet needle set that I got from Amazon using the 5mm that Darla suggests. And it has begun! The stitch marker is from Angela at My Precious Yarnery, which is apropos because this was inspired by Angela at My Precious Yarnery. So, here we go! I did not realize this was the technique you used for Jacob's Ladder. So I've done something slightly similar in knit, but I've not done this technique in crochet. So this is going to be fun. So basically you do this until you get the length you want, and then you come back to the tutorial and she'll show you what to do next. So that's just basically what I'm doing. At this point I think I have 10 stitches in each of my little sections. That's how I'm keeping track. But really I just plan on kind of working it until it feels like it's a good wingspan. Obviously this is not a good wingspan. It needs to get bigger. But I think this is going to be a very fun color once it's done. Like, I think it's going to be a happy little shawl. And hopefully whoever wins it feels the same. It is kind of a brighter color with this blue. So I thought, I don't know if that's going to be too, if that's going to be a popular colorway or not. But I think you just gotta go with your gut when I'm doing something like this, and my gut says this is going to be very fun when it's done. Let me know what you think. And also, I have gotten a lot of submissions already for Darla, so thank you, thank you, thank you. I love them. Keep them coming. Oh, this one's making me happy. They all make me happy, but you guys are really embracing the Darla projects, and I'm so happy. I'm very happy. That is all I have for projects. Like I said, I had to focus a bit on that one project, and that, whenever you have to give one thing a bit more attention, some other things fall to the side, and that's okay. That's just how it goes. Where am I going to do with this? I'm putting this over here so I can take that downstairs. Okay! Oh, gotta put my crochet hook back, otherwise I'll be like, what? I can't work! Okay, the new thing I wanted to start doing. I think I mentioned last week that I pulled a stack of papers out of one of these bags and was like, well, sometimes I just grab what I have on the computer or on the printer and ferry it upstairs. So I thought, let's go through Erin's Stack from the Printer of the Week. We'll work on the name. Stack of the Week. That's too much like The Secret Yarnery. We'll work on it. So basically, I thought, I've never made a sockhead hat. Maybe I'll try to make a sockhead hat. So I got the pattern. So Sockhead Hat is by Kelly McClure. It's a very, very popular hat. I know I've seen Needles at the Ready guys make it all the time. I got some sock yarn at my local yarn shop, so I thought maybe that could be something I could do for my 2023 LYS challenge. On the Things We're Making Thursday video, I suggested some knit shawls that people might want to make if they're a knitter rather than a crocheter. And Lala's Simple Shawl was suggested as one that someone likes to suggest for newer knitters. And I thought this was fun. This is by Laura Linneman. And again, this was a free pattern off of Ravelry. Just search Lala's Simple Shawl. I did have to scroll through a bit to find it, but that's just the search engine on Ravelry. I got an email from somebody who was saying, and I'm sorry, I don't remember names. I need to write it down in the moment. But I had mentioned I was trying to make crochet mittens, and they're like, this is so timely. I watched your video, and then up on Facebook, this post popped up of like all these crochet mitten patterns. So she sent me the link. So I went to it, and it was like one of those posts that like collate a lot of patterns. Like you see them on Pinterest all the time. So I just went there and I grabbed the first one and figured maybe I would start to try to make it. It's called the Star Mittens, and it's by Catherine Donahue. It's got sizes toddler, medium adult, and large adult. So lots and lots of options here. I actually thought there was more in between. Maybe that's all the ones that I printed out. But it's this goes to her blog. It's a free pattern on her blog. It did look like there was a way to purchase a PDF. And then the next one, again, this was free on the blog. It does look like you could get a paid version of it as well. This was sent to me, and they said, I have a challenge for you. It's Wiam's Crafts, WIAM' Crafts, and it's at blogspot.com. So it's just a blog, and it's called the Leaf Assortment Scarf. And it also, they also have a hat, and maybe it was a headband. There's a, yeah, so there's a hat and a matching headband if you want. But again, I only have a black and white printer. Look at that! Look at that leafy. This is a crochet pattern. So, if I can find the time, I am going to try to tackle this leafy, it's kind of like a shawl, kind of like a scarf. Here's another picture of it on a mannequin. Isn't that cool? So thank you. There are tons of pictures in this pattern, so there's a lot of helpful information. And that is Erin's Printer Stack of the Week. Have you guys made any of these? I know the sock head was suggested a couple of times when I started talking about the LYS hat challenge. Also, why? How am I not remembering the name? It is such a popular hat. So many people make it. It's on my Ravelry. Also, it's going to annoy me if I don't look it up, so just give me a moment. Ravelry is always up on my phone. So if I go Ravelry, I think it's actually in my library. Let's check library. Are you here? There's the Ross hat. The Ross hat was suggested. I've made the Ross hat in the past. Oh, it's not in my library. Okay, so it's just in my favorites. I'm just going to make it a little more difficult because I liberally add hats and all sorts of projects to my favorites list. Ooh, that's cute. Look at this hat. The limestone lily cap. Isn't that cute? That's adorable. And then, oh, here I was talking about a dress I wanted to make for bingo out of the rainbow yarn from the June yarn from Twists and Stitches, and I was going to mix it with the night yarn I got. That's the dress. Isn't that adorable? I think that would look so cute on bingo. Of course, it's not the hat I'm looking for. You guys are all like, I know exactly what hat you're talking about. I know it. Oh, there. Every time Gary makes a pattern, I have to go favorite it on Ravelry. That's Gary from Urban Yarn. Musselburgh! The Musselburgh hat. This is also often suggested to me, and I would love to make that hat. Again, it's just finding time, and this is, who's the designer? Where are you? It's up at the top. Oh no, Teague. Isolda? I'm so sorry, I don't know how to pronounce your first name. But yeah, that I know is a very, very popular hat, and I would love to make it. Other than the stack of patterns, I have my book to talk about. So I did start reading Victory City by Salman Rushdie, and I am enjoying it. It's different. I must have misunderstood kind of the blurb I read. It's not in her imagination. She witnessed something in her childhood and then was visited by a deity and became almost a deity herself. And it's kind of talking about the creation of the empire that the deity helped her with. And it's written as though it's a legend, and so the book is almost like, so the book is written as though he is interpreting the lady's own words. So the woman supposedly wrote the history as she was experiencing it, and then it was buried for like 400 years, and then it was discovered, and he's writing it as though he's interpreting it, and there's little sections of like commentary and things like that, which I think it's very cool. It's very interesting. It does have a lot of a feel of Siddhartha or something like that if you've read kind of more Buddhist type stories. It does have that kind of storytelling feeling, and I'm enjoying it. We'll have to see where it goes. It's interesting. I like reading books that present cultures I'm not fully familiar with, because you know, it just helps broaden your horizons. And I'm gonna let you go get to what you want to do today, and I will see you later. Bye bye. Thank you for chatting. You thought you were done with me. I did it again. I almost forgot the socks. So here's my socks. It's in this wonderful sock bag from Bridget at Queen's Crafts by Bridget. And here is the sock. I have done quite a bit here. I am on the last 10 rounds before I get to my toe decreases. So this sock is very, very, very close to being completed. And once again, these are the socks I'm making for Chomps, my son. I am using Premier Fruits in the strawberry. He wanted strawberry socks. So here we go. And I am using the pattern that for kids socks, kids knit socks, that shows up on Premier.com when you look at that yarn. I am using my I keep saying they're Chogu, they are not. They are Clover Takumi 9-inch circular bamboo needles. I am very much enjoying them. I like how the wooden bamboo needle sits with the yarn. It's a little more grabby. The pattern does say you should use DPNs. My DPNs are stainless steel, and when I started trying to do them, the needles were just falling out of the project and I couldn't do it. So I tried switching to these Clover Takumis, and they work wonderfully. The stitch markers are just some light bulb stitch markers. I got a giant pack of them off of Amazon, and that's that. Okay, so now that I have fully updated you on all of my projects, I'm going to once again bid you adieu and good day, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye!